In the shadows of Iran, where ancient history meets modern oppression, there exists a secret community, Christians who must hide their faith or face deadly consequences. They found my Bible during a raid. Within hours, I was dragged to a place no woman should ever see. Leila Ahmadi, a 34-year-old former university professor, became an enemy of the state for one reason only. She refused to deny Jesus Christ. What happened next defied medical science and shook even the most hardened prison guards to their core. This is not just a story of suffering. This is a story of how Jesus still intervenes today, even in the most dangerous corners of our world. Before we continue with Leila's incredible testimony, if you're watching this video, it's because you're searching for hope in a world that often seems devoid of it. This channel, Jesus Intervened, exists to document real stories of divine intervention that mainstream media will never show you. Subscribe now and share this video because someone in your life needs to hear that miracles still happen, that Jesus is still active, still healing, and still setting the captives free in 2025. Now let's discover how a woman's death sentence became a testimony that even her persecutors couldn't deny. Tehran, Iran. A city of contradictions where ancient Persian history collides with Islamic revolution, where modern technology exists alongside religious police, and where Professor Leila Ahmadi carefully guarded her most dangerous secret. Raised in a devout Muslim family, Leila had excelled academically, becoming one of the youngest professors of literature at Tehran University. Her students adored her passion for poetry, especially the works of Rumi and Hafez, whose mystical verses often hinted at divine love beyond religious boundaries. What her students didn't know was that for 3 years, Leila had been attending an underground house church. It started innocently enough. A foreign student had given her a small Bible as a cultural gift. Out of academic curiosity, she began reading it at night. "I didn't expect to find Jesus in those pages," Leila later recounted. "But his words haunted me. I am the way, the truth, and the life. As a scholar, I had spent my life pursuing truth. How could I ignore those words?" Through an encrypted messaging app, Leila connected with a secret community of believers who met in rotating locations. Someone's basement one week, a storage room the next, never the same place twice. They sang in whispers, prayed with one eye on the door, and memorized scripture knowing their physical Bibles might be discovered. But even with such precautions, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps had been tracking digital communications with increasing sophistication. On April 17th, as Leila graded papers in her modest apartment, a pounding at the door changed everything. "Religious police, don't move!" 4 men in plain clothes burst in, immediately beginning to search her home. When they found the small Bible hidden inside a hollowed-out copy of 100 Years of Solitude, their expressions hardened. "Apostate," the leader spat, slapping her hard across the face. "You will tell us the names of all the others." As they dragged her away, Leila caught a final glimpse of her small apartment, the books she loved, the family photo on the wall, the half-graded student papers on her desk. She didn't know it then, but she would never see her home again. Her descent into darkness had only just begun. The detention center smelled of bleach, sweat, and fear. Located in an unmarked building in southern Tehran, it was a place where problematic citizens disappeared, sometimes temporarily, sometimes forever. Leila was processed like a criminal, photographed, fingerprinted, and forced to change into a gray prison uniform. They took her hijab and gave her a dirty white one instead. Then came the questions, endless questions, for hours without water or rest. "Who converted you? Where do the Christians meet? Give us names, and perhaps we will be lenient." But Leila remained silent. Each time she refused to answer, the interrogator's face grew redder. By evening, his patience had evaporated completely. "You think your Western God will protect you?" he shouted, slamming his fist on the metal table. "There is no Jesus here. There is only what we decide happens to you." When psychological intimidation failed, they moved to physical torment. 2 female guards took her to a concrete room with a drain in the center, a room designed for only one purpose. What followed was 3 hours of systematic brutality. Fists, batons, electric shocks. They were careful to target areas that wouldn't show under clothing: ribs, kidneys, the soles of her feet. With each blow, they demanded names. With each refusal, the punishment intensified. I felt my ribs crack, Leila later testified. I could taste blood. But something strange happened. With each blow, I kept hearing a voice in my heart saying, "I am with you. Hold fast." By the time they threw her into a solitary cell, Leila could barely move. Internal bleeding had turned her skin purple-black across most of her torso. Her left eye had swollen shut, and breathing sent shards of pain through her chest. Medical attention was deliberately withheld, a common tactic to break resistant prisoners. Curled on the thin mattress in her windowless cell, Leila reached the limit of human endurance. The pain was unbearable, and she knew mourning would only bring more torture. "Jesus," she whispered through broken lips, "if you are real, if you are truly God, then please help me. I cannot endure this alone. Either take me home to you or give me the strength to continue. But please, don't leave me here alone in this darkness." As consciousness faded, Leila prepared herself for what seemed inevitable. She would likely die in this place, unknown and unmourned, another disappeared person in a country full of them. She closed her eyes, whispering what she believed might be her final prayer. "Jesus, into your hands I commit my spirit." The cell was completely dark, no windows, no light seeping under the door. Leila had no idea what time it was when she awakened to a strange sensation. Despite the excruciating pain that had consumed her body, something felt different. At first, she thought she was dreaming. A faint glow seemed to be growing in the corner of her cell, soft, warm, and utterly impossible in the sealed concrete room. "I thought I was hallucinating from the pain," Leila recounted. But then the light began to take shape. Not like a spotlight or a lamp. It was like light itself had decided to become a person. The radiance intensified, not painfully bright, but somehow both gentle and powerful at once. And within this impossible light stood a figure, a man dressed in simple white garments. His face was kind, but carried a gravity that spoke of both tremendous love and immeasurable authority. "Peace be with you, Leila," he said in perfect Farsi, though something in his voice suggested it wasn't his native language. "Do not be afraid." Leila tried to move, to sit up and face this visitor, but the broken ribs and internal injuries made even the slightest movement agonizing. "Who are you?" she whispered, though in her heart she already knew. The man stepped closer, and Leila could see what looked like healed wounds on his wrists. His eyes held a depth of compassion that broke something open inside her. "You know who I am," he replied. "I have heard your prayers. I have seen your suffering for my name's sake." "Jesus." The name escaped her lips as both question and recognition. He nodded, smiling gently. "I have never left you alone, Leila. Not for a moment." Tears streamed down Leila's face, tears of relief, of vindication, of overwhelming joy despite her circumstances. All her academic study, all her theological questions seemed to evaporate in the presence of the living Christ standing before her. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Why would you come to me? I'm no one special." "Every sparrow that falls, I see it," Jesus replied. "How much more do I see you? You have honored me before men. Now I have come to you in your hour of need." He approached her bed and knelt beside it. With infinite tenderness, he reached out his hand toward her battered face. "May I?" he asked, respecting her consent even in this miraculous moment. Unable to speak through her tears, Leila nodded. The moment his fingers touched her bruised cheek, a sensation like warm honey seemed to pour through her body. It started at the point of contact and flowed downward, through her shattered ribs, her damaged kidneys, her swollen and bloodied feet. Where this warmth passed, pain simply ceased to exist, replaced by a wholeness she had never experienced even before the beating. "Your faith has made you well," Jesus said, "but your journey is not finished. What happens tomorrow will bring many to know me." "They'll never believe me," Leila whispered. "They'll say I'm lying." Jesus smiled, and the light around him seemed to pulse with life itself. "They will have no choice but to believe. Remember, when they ask how this happened, tell them the truth. Jesus still intervenes today." He stood, and the light began to intensify again. "I will never leave you nor forsake you, Leila. Even when you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I am with you." As the light grew brighter, Leila felt an overwhelming peace replace her fear. No matter what happened tomorrow, more torture, even execution, she had seen the living Christ. Nothing could take that certainty from her. The light faded gradually, and the cell returned to darkness. But Leila realized something astonishing. The pain was completely gone. Not dulled or reduced, but absent entirely. She carefully raised herself up, expecting agony from her broken ribs. Nothing. No pain at all. In the darkness, she ran her hands over her body. The swelling around her eye had vanished. Her ribs felt solid and whole. The internal bleeding that had turned her skin black and blue, gone without a trace. In speechless wonder, Leila lay back on the thin prison mattress, replaying every second of the encounter in her mind, determined to remember every detail. "Thank you," she whispered into the darkness. But this time the darkness didn't feel empty or threatening. It felt like a momentary pause before an incredible new chapter was about to begin. Friends, what you're hearing is not fiction. This testimony from Leila is one of countless documented cases where Jesus himself has intervened in seemingly hopeless situations around the world. This is why we at Jesus Intervened continue to share these stories despite the challenges and sometimes dangers of doing so. If you're feeling moved by what you're hearing, please take a moment right now to subscribe to our channel and share this video. The world needs to know that Jesus is not just a historical figure or a religious concept. He is alive and active today, reaching into prisons both physical and spiritual to bring healing and freedom. Now, let's return to Leila's story and discover what happened when her captors discovered the miraculous healing that had taken place overnight. Morning came with the harsh sound of keys in the lock. Leila, who had barely slept after her extraordinary encounter, sat up easily, a movement that should have been impossible given her injuries from the previous day. Two female guards entered, expecting to find a broken woman barely clinging to life. Instead, they saw Leila sitting calmly on the edge of her bed, her face unmarked, her movements fluid and pain-free. One guard dropped the tray of bread and water she was carrying. "What trick is this?" the senior guard demanded, her voice shaking. "Where are your injuries?" Leila simply stood up and held out her arms. "Jesus visited me last night. He healed me completely." The younger guard backed out of the cell, clearly disturbed. The senior guard approached cautiously, circling Leila as if expecting to find evidence of some deception. She roughly grabbed Leila's prison uniform and lifted it to examine her torso, the same torso that had been black with internal bleeding just hours before. Not a single bruise remained. "Impossible," the guard whispered, her stern facade cracking. "I saw what they did to you. No one recovers from that overnight." "Not without divine intervention," Leila replied calmly. Within minutes, the cell block erupted with activity. Guards, medical staff, and finally the interrogator himself rushed to witness the inexplicable. A doctor was brought in to examine Leila thoroughly. "This woman has no injuries whatsoever," he finally reported. "Not even evidence of healed wounds. If you told me she had never been touched, I would believe it based on this examination." The interrogator's face had turned ashen. "Check the security footage," he ordered. "Someone must have entered her cell." But the camera outside Leila's cell showed no one had entered or exited between her placement there and morning. The only anomaly was a strange 3-minute period around 2:15 a.m. when the video showed unusual light patterns seeping from under the solid metal door, light that had no explainable source in the windowless, electrically isolated cell. As word spread through the detention center, guards and prisoners alike found excuses to pass by Leila's cell. Some came to scoff and disprove, but left silent and thoughtful. Others arrived hostile, but requested private conversations before departing. By afternoon, the atmosphere in the entire facility had transformed. 3 guards asked to be reassigned. The doctor who had examined Leila requested a private meeting with her, during which he whispered, "I too have been reading the Bible in secret, but after today, I can no longer deny its truth." Even the hardened interrogator seemed shaken to his core. When he returned to question Leila again, gone was the shouting and threats. Instead, he asked with genuine bewilderment, "How is this possible? What kind of God does this?" Leila's answer was simple. "The kind who loves even those who persecute his followers. The same Jesus who healed me wants to have a relationship with you too." The interrogator abruptly left the room, but not before Leila noticed something shocking. Tears in the eyes of a man known for his merciless treatment of prisoners. 3 days after the miraculous healing, Leila received unexpected news. She was being released due to insufficient evidence of illegal religious activities. This almost never happened with Christian converts, who were typically sentenced to years in prison or worse. As she was being processed for release, a senior official pulled her aside. "What happened to you has caused problems," he said quietly. 7 staff members have failed to report to duty since your healing. Rumors are spreading. The authorities want this forgotten quickly." Leila was given back her original clothes and personal items, along with a stern warning. "Leave Tehran immediately and tell no one what happened." She was being exiled to her family's ancestral village near the Azerbaijan border. But even exile couldn't contain what God had started. In the small village, Leila lived quietly with distant relatives. Yet people began to seek her out, traveling from neighboring areas to hear her story firsthand. Many came skeptical, but left transformed by the sincerity of her testimony and the inexplicable nature of her healing. 6 months later, Leila received an encrypted message on her phone from an unknown number. "I was the doctor who examined you. There are now 19 of us meeting in secret at the detention center. Even the interrogator joins us sometimes. Your healing has created a fire that cannot be extinguished." Over the next 2 years, underground churches reported unprecedented growth across Iran. Government officials were secretly baptized. Families who had persecuted Christian converts began to experience dreams and visions similar to Leila's. When asked why her testimony resonated so deeply in a culture officially hostile to Christianity, Leila explained, "People recognized the authenticity because no human explanation was possible. The evidence was my body, completely healed in a way medicine couldn't explain. Jesus didn't just heal my physical wounds, he created a witness that spoke louder than any words." Today, Leila lives in an undisclosed location, continuing to share her testimony through secure channels. The Iranian authorities still occasionally question former detention center employees about the Leila incident, as it has come to be known in official circles. "I never wanted to be a public figure or an evangelist," Leila reflects. "I was just a literature professor who found Jesus in the pages of a forbidden book." But his healing wasn't just for me. It was a message to everyone in that prison and beyond. Jesus is alive, and he still intervenes in our world today. Perhaps most remarkable was what happened to the interrogator who had ordered Leila's torture. 2 years after her release, he managed to defect to Turkey, bringing with him documented evidence of religious persecution in Iranian prisons. When asked by Western journalists why he had abandoned his prestigious position and lifelong ideology, he replied simply, "I spent my career studying terrorists and enemies of the state. I know what brainwashing looks like. I know what political extremism looks like. What I saw in that cell was something else entirely. I tortured a woman to the brink of death. The next morning, she was completely healed. No doctor, no medicine, not even a bandage. Just an unexplainable light in the middle of the night. After witnessing that, I could no longer deny the power of the God she followed. I had her blood on my hands, literally, the former interrogator testified. And then it was gone, replaced by something I can only describe as grace. The Jesus I persecuted healed the wounds I inflicted. How do you continue to fight against a God like that? What prison are you in today? It might not have concrete walls, but it holds you just as surely. The same Jesus who appeared in Leila's cell is reaching out to you right now, ready to intervene in your situation. If this story has touched your heart, please share it with someone who needs hope today. Subscribe to Jesus Intervened for more testimonies of Christ's miraculous work in our world. And remember, no matter how dark your circumstance, Jesus still visits those who call on him. Thank you for watching until the end. This is Jesus Intervened, where we document the living reality that our Savior's work didn't end with ancient history. It continues today in the lives of people just like you.